Can the PS5 Pro save PS VR2? And what benefits, if any, will the Pro bring to the VR ecosystem? And what about the new DualSense for the PS5 Pro? First, I want to show you why gaming journalism is dying. We're going to use Helldivers 2 as an example. Game Informer is shutting down after 33 years, as announced by its parent company GameStop on August 2, 2024. The entire staff has been laid off, and the magazine's website has been wiped clean, erasing all past content. The closure comes as GameStop continues to scrutinize expenses amid ongoing financial challenges. The final issue, published in June, was the last of 367 editions, and the team was reportedly close to completing the next issue when the shutdown occurred. And this is just the beginning. I said it before in a previous video. Gaming and gaming journalism is going through a big shift. I want to quote an awesome line from the TV show Left 4 Dead. Sometimes you gotta burn the crop so a newer and better one will grow. Let's get into some Helldivers 2 drama. Can you believe it? The new Helldivers 2 Warbond is almost here, and I couldn't be more excited. Our editor Daniel is practically bursting with anticipation. The guy's already collected almost 2,000 super credits, and he's raring to go. So, what's the vibe out there? Do you guys play HD too? We're thinking about making some dedicated videos if you're into that. Let us know. Now, I came across an article from The Gamer with the headline, "Maybe Helldivers 2 devs should stop asking players for ideas." Right off the bat, that title had me raising an eyebrow. It starts with a generic intro, blah blah blah, you know the drill. But then it dives into some pretty spicy opinions. Quote, "When a patch making solo runs harder was received negatively, the studio rolled the change back. Perhaps most prominently, when players revolted against the belated enforcement of a PSN requirement, Arrowhead worked it out with Sony and made PSN accounts optional. The point is that Arrowhead is listening to players, but maybe it's doing so a little too much." As someone who's logged 500 hours into this game, that patch was a nightmare. It wasn't just solo players struggling. Even in 4-player co-op, we were running out of ammo and stratagems every 2 minutes. I remember hitting level 6 with my crew, and we were just overwhelmed. The devs even admitted, yeah, we kind of broke the game with that patch. It took them a full month to fix it, and thank goodness they did. I tried a level 3 solo during that period and got absolutely swarmed by enemies. And listen, I consider myself pretty good at this game, usually top of the leaderboard in kills. But that patch was a disaster. The best move they made was listening to the community and rolling it back. Then there's this whole tenderizer fiasco. The weapon was a joke at launch. It didn't do what the description said. After the fix, they boosted its damage and finally gave it the stagger effect it promised. Good move, Arrowhead. Let's move on. Arrowhead CEO Shams Georgiani is now actively soliciting ideas from players through a Reddit post, specifically about how resources can be used for progression. A lot of regular players have reached the current level cap and maxed out their upgrades, meaning the resources they continue to collect in the course of gameplay are just sitting there, woefully unused. Georgiani is asking players for fun ideas on how to use resources, existing or new, for long-term progression in a way that's still in line with the overall design of the game, and says that Arrowhead has its own design and ideas, but wants to hear from the community. Okay, nothing wrong with that, but hold on to your horses, guys, because this is where it starts to get interesting. It's an admirable notion. After all, live service games have to keep players happy, and what better way to do that than by going straight to them? But I can't help but think about the repercussions of actively asking fans for their ideas, acknowledging those ideas, and implementing them in the game. Last month, Tekken series director Katsuhiro Harada politely asked fans to stop sending him concept characters. It's not that he hates your ideas and wants you to go back to the hole you came from, but that adopting specific suggestions, in this case character ideas, could lead to legal trouble for the studio. Wait, what? Let me read that again. It's not that he hates your ideas and wants you to go back to the hole you came from, but that adopting specific suggestions, in this case character ideas, could lead to legal trouble for the studio. Okay, who is this person? Why would you say, crawl back from the holes from which they came? Why use such harsh language? So I checked out the author, Tessa. According to her bio, she's a features editor at The Gamer, into narrative-driven games and progressive critiques. Okay, cool. So you're a progressive gamer who never finishes games. Your interest is in attacking gaming fans? Isn't your job as a journalist to report on the industry and not attack gamers? By the way, die-hard ADHD person here. Games like Helldivers 2 are perfect for. The one thing that was never hard for me is to complete a game. It's heaven, instant dopamine hit, Instant gratification. You don't know how much that patch hurt the game. They buffed weapons nobody wanted to use, nerfed all the cool ones, released broken new weapons that didn't do what was written in the description, and broke the enemy spawn system, making the game almost unplayable for most people. Sure, if I was playing with my best buds, we could handle the pressure, but a lot of players are casuals. Casual and new players used to level 5 difficulty were getting completely destroyed in level 3 and 4. That's why the developers started listening to fan feedback. Just because they listen and talk to the fan base doesn't mean they're going to implement overpowered features. Their goal is to make the game as balanced and challenging as possible. So please, don't talk about Helldivers 2 again until you actually complete some games and gain a better understanding of them. And maybe consider updating your bio to reflect a more balanced perspective. Let's also remember that the Helldivers 2 community has always been vocal, and their feedback has led to positive changes in the past. Whether it's fixing game-breaking bugs or tweaking gameplay mechanics, Arrowhead has shown they're willing to adapt and improve the experience based on what players want. This kind of interaction isn't just valuable, it's crucial for the game's long-term success. So Tessa, if you're going to critique a game, maybe play it through and understand the community's concerns. To the fans out there, keep your feedback coming. This is how we make Helldivers 2 the best it can be. And for those who haven't tried the game yet, jump in. There's a whole community here that cares deeply about making this game awesome. Best Buy Canada appears to have inadvertently leaked a new version of the DualSense controller, and this V2 model may address the most commonly cited issue with the original PS5 pad. Could this new model finally resolve the complaints we've had for the last 3 years? First off, the size and shape of the DualSense can be a bit of an issue. It's bulkier than the controllers we're used to, which can lead to some hand fatigue during long gaming sessions. The grips are thick, and the analog sticks are positioned in a way that can feel awkward, especially if your hands are on the larger or smaller side. Some people have even reported feeling numbness in their fingers after a while. When it comes to build quality, there have been a fair number of reports about durability issues, like stick drift and triggers that start to act up sooner than you'd expect. There are also complaints about quality control, stuff like springs breaking. Compared to the more reliable older PlayStation controllers, it's a bit disappointing. These were hyped up a lot, and while some people, myself included, think they're awesome, not everyone feels the same. The resistance in the triggers can be adjusted or even turned off, which is great because not everyone loves the extra tension, especially in fast-paced games. Personally, I think the haptic feedback is a neat addition. But yeah, some folks find the resistance in the buttons a bit much. Looking ahead to the PS5 Pro, how could Sony make the DualSense even better? Reports suggest that future versions will look and feel pretty much the same. Well, a more comfortable design would be a good start. Maybe they could offer interchangeable grips to fit different hand sizes, or just refine the shape a bit to be more universally comfortable. Unfortunately, if you're not a fan of the current design, it looks like it's here to stay. Durability improvements are a must, too. No one wants to deal with a controller breaking down quickly. They could use stronger materials and tighten up quality control to ensure the parts last longer. Customizability would be a nice touch. And of course, making the face buttons a bit more responsive could help with those fast-paced moments in games. Plus, there are whispers about improvements in other areas too. Better speakers and a microphone could enhance in-game communication and audio feedback, and extending the battery life to around 12 hours, as some reports suggest, would be a significant improvement for long gaming sessions. From the included images, it's challenging to spot any visible differences between the DualSense V2 and the PS5 controller we've been using. Even the packaging looks identical. If this listing is accurate and not an error on Best Buy's part, it seems the new controller doesn't offer any cosmetic changes. Does this mean the improvements are all under the hood? For instance, one theory is that the DualSense V2 might feature even more advanced haptic feedback capabilities. Enhanced actuators. There have been rumors suggesting that the DualSense V2 might include a feature allowing it to deliver mild electrical shocks to increase immersion. While this concept sounds intriguing and could add a new layer of physical feedback, it's important to approach such claims with caution. If true, this feature would need to be carefully designed to ensure safety and comfort for users. A major concern with the current DualSense controller has been its battery life. The V2 could address this. It's worth noting that when the PS4 Pro was released, it was accompanied by a new iteration of the DualShock 4 controller, which included minor improvements. Now, the big big question of the day. So, the PSVR 2 hasn't really taken off as Sony might have hoped. The games are solid, the tech is impressive, but it hasn't quite captured a massive audience. Now enter the PS5 Pro. The big question is, could this upgraded console give the PSVR 2 the boost it needs to finally hit the mainstream? Well, my young Padawan, grab my hand and let's explore these possibilities together. First off, the PS5 Pro is rumored to be a powerhouse, supposedly packing up to 3 times the processing power of the standard PS5. That extra oomph could make a huge difference for VR games. Imagine games running at a smooth 90 FPS or even hitting 120 FPS. For VR, that's a game changer because smoother frame rates mean less motion sickness. You know how sometimes in VR, fast movements can make things look a bit blurry or ghosty? That's often due to a technique called reprojection, which tries to fake smoother motion but isn't perfect. The PS5 Pro's extra power could reduce or even eliminate that issue, making everything look way sharper. Then there's the visual quality. The PS5 Pro might come with enhanced dynamic resolution scaling, which basically means the game can adjust the resolution in real time to keep things looking clear without tanking performance. Plus, there's talk about AI upscaling tech, specifically something called PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. Imagine playing a game like Horizon Call of the Mountain and feeling like you're actually in that world because everything is so detailed and lifelike. Now, while the PSVR 2 is the only VR system for the PS5, which gives it a unique spot, it's still up against some heavy hitters like MetaQuest 2 and HTC Vive. These other platforms have their own ecosystems and exclusive games, so Sony needs to really nail it with their VR offerings to keep people interested. But here's the kicker. If Sony leverages its big exclusive franchises, like maybe a VR Spider-Man or God of War experience, they could pull in fans who already love those series. However, there's a bit of a hurdle here. For the PS5 Pro to truly save the PSVR 2, developers need to get on board. They'd have to patch existing games and create new ones that really take advantage of the PS5 Pro's hardware. If they do, we could see some seriously mind-blowing VR experiences. But if they don't, even the best hardware won't make a difference. In the end, the PS5 Pro could be the shot in the arm that PSVR 2 needs, but it's going to take a concerted effort from Sony and game developers to make it happen. Someone wrote a really interesting comment on this specific topic, and I quote, "Most importantly, they have to sell the PSVR 2, so third-party devs have an incentive to make games for it, right?" Absolutely, you've hit the nail on the head. For the PSVR 2 to thrive, it's crucial that Sony sells a good number of units. If there's a large user base, developers see a real opportunity to make money, which gives them the incentive to invest time and resources into creating great VR content. It's kind of a cycle. Strong sales of the hardware lead to more games, and more games lead to even more hardware sales. But it all starts with convincing people to buy the PSVR 2 in the first place. To make the PSVR 2 more appealing to potential customers beyond just games, Sony could consider a range of additional features and improvements. Introducing more social VR experiences, where players can interact with friends in virtual environments, could be a big draw. Think virtual meetups, multiplayer mini-games, or even shared virtual movie screenings. Integrating easy-to-use tools for live streaming or creating VR content could appeal to creators and influencers. Expanding beyond gaming, Sony could offer a suite of VR apps for watching movies, TV shows, and sports in a virtual theater. They could also include VR concerts, guided virtual tours, and other multimedia experiences that take advantage of VR's immersive qualities. But really, I want to know from you, what would make a PSVR 2 a must-buy for you? For me, honestly, I said this before, but it's worth repeating. Keep the price down at $350. Take the risk of not making profits on the VR2, sell a bunch of them, and recoup the money from software and subscription sales. Look, it's not impossible. When the PS4 came out, they didn't make profits on console sales, but they made billions in software, subscription, and third-party partnership. But yeah, they might just turn the PSVR 2 into a must-have accessory for every PS5 owner. Let me know what you think. Let's keep the convo going down there.